Hey everybody, welcome to the Wise Guys, the largest BYU sports live stream show in the world, presented by BradyPlus, Mountain America Credit Union, and Eddie HR. Wise Guys is distributed by the Deseret News. The new podcast will be out tomorrow, wherever you get your podcasts. Hey, we missed you. It's been a whole week without being connected to the world of Cougar Nation. And so, man, we're happy to be back.
Yeah, we miss it when we're, like, even from Monday to Monday, we missed it. And normally, we're not in the summer months. We have something going on during the week, but we had a fairly quiet week this last week, you and I.
Yeah.
So we're glad to have you. Hey, make sure you subscribe to our free email at wiseguys.com. You'll get alerts on things that are happening. Also, when you go to our website, make sure you take a look at all that past content we have down there. There's so many great interviews over the last couple of years that are available to you. And one thing you could do for us that would really help us is your YouTube. If you're watching it live on YouTube or you're watching it tomorrow on YouTube, make sure you hit the subscribe button there as well. To subscribe to us on YouTube. All of those things help us keep rolling, and we feel like we're rolling right now, and it's great.
Already on the stream, there's Arizona, California, Idaho, Texas, Utah, Vernal, Utah. How about Lori saying, hey, listening from the Maverick Center until the Weird Al Yankovic concert starts tonight.
Is Weird Al Yankovic still doing concerts?
He's still a thing. He's in town.
My goodness, I didn't even know he was still doing it.
There's Liberty, Missouri.
Lots of Idaho in here. Lots of Idaho. Ben Hansen cool. Also. I didn't even know Weird Al Yankovic was still doing it.
He's still going.
Still doing it.
Wise Guys is presented by BradyPlus. BradyPlus provides cleaning, food service, and packaging equipment, dispensers, and service and repairs with over 150 distribution facilities across the country and over 6,000 employees. The president of BradyPlus, Travis Brady, is going to be live with us at the bottom of the hour. Looking forward to that.
Yeah, we're also grateful to have Mountain America Credit Union as one of our title sponsors. And there are BYU fans, and then there are real BYU fans, right? Since you're the real deal, we want you to highlight the BYU. We want to highlight the BYU credit card from Mountain America Credit Union for you. Not only can you choose from 2 impressive designs, you can also get a $100 bonus. For a limited time. So apply for your BYU credit card featuring a $100 bonus at any Mountain America branch or macu.com/BYU Visa. Terms, conditions, and exclusions apply. And this offer is going to end at the end of this month.
Yeah.
So June 30th is going to end. So, hey, get a BYU credit card, get a BYU Visa, and get $100. Sounds good to me.
That sounds fantastic. Also, Eddie, HR and payroll software built for small businesses. Whether you run a dental office in Spanish Fork, Utah, or a construction crew in Lehigh, Eddie helps you hire, onboard, track time, and run payroll all in one place. Simple, local, reliable. Built by business owners who believe people come first. See how Eddie can serve your team at eddie.com.
And the Deseret News, the Wise Guys, is distributed by the Deseret News and Deseret.com, Utah's newspaper since 1850.
How about Kanab? That's down near Lake Powell. Kanab on the stream, and then Pensacola, Florida. Right there's Nick right there.
How's Pensacola? You know what, Nick? I've got a meeting there in July. Am I going to die of heat exhaustion?
Of course you are.
Not in Pensacola, in Miami. Or actually in Fort Lauderdale. So
I think all over Florida is
pretty hot and humid in July. I got a meeting down there. So I'm
good
thinking,
luck with that.
I love South Florida, but I'm not so sure I love it in July. So, we always like South Jordan when they're in the house. We always make a big deal out of people from Colombia and then over in Asia and Japan.
Kuwait,
but you know what? We love our folks coming in from South Jordan too, and right here in Orem and Provo, we love them all. So thanks for being with us tonight.
Wise Guys, distributed by the Deseret News and Deseret.com, Utah's newspaper since 1850. And we are proud to be a Thrive sponsor of the upcoming Ephraim Hope Charity Golf Tournament. It's Tuesday, August 5th over at Cedar Hills Golf Club here in Utah County. Going to be a great day. Shotgun start at 8 a.m., scramble format, awesome raffle prizes, big, nice lunch, and all for a powerful cause, helping children in Uganda attend private school. We've done this the last couple of years.
Yeah, and you and I will be out there. It's been a great thing to be able to see what this does. It doesn't take that much money to send a child to school over there, and it can change a whole village, really. And so it's a great cause, and we'll be part of that again this year. We also want to give a big shout out to Creed Construction, this year's title sponsor. They're huge BYU sports fans, and will be joining us right here on Wise Guys for a special live stream appearance. So,
and we want you to become a Hope sponsor yourself. That gets you a foursome, a custom banner, your logo, all on the marketing, and it includes a guest spot on our show too. We're just expanding the horizons to get folks learn more and sign up today at ephraimhope.org. Jack's got the link there in the chat, and we'll talk about it as we get closer to August. But the kickoff is underway, and we're gonna send a whole bunch of kids to school.
That's right. That's
in
the goal.
Uganda.
That's the goal.
Hey, our headlines tonight. BYU football. There's Ryder Lyons. Is he going to announce tomorrow morning at 10 a.m.? Yes. Is he going to pick BYU?
We don't know.
We'll find out.
I know he had a great weekend here this weekend, so we'll see.
And the quarterback situation with Jake Retzlaff still up in the air as we get a little bit closer to the Big 12 football meetings.
Yeah.
Also, BYU basketball and Big 12 production. We'll look at some of the numbers and give you an idea of what the Cougs might just be capable of on the hard court this coming season. But it's a big week for one former Coug.
Yeah, that's right, because the NBA draft is coming up Wednesday at 6 p.m. Mountain. Yegor Dimon, our good friend. Projections for him? We'll talk about it in just a minute. And we know our good friend Travis Hansen from Eddie is back with Yegor. He's been invited. There's 13 players invited, and it's fun for Travis to be back there. He's really been Yegor's great mentor the whole time he's been at BYU, so it's pretty fun.
Special time of year here in Provo with America's Freedom Festival, and the executive director, Jim Evans, going to join us, and he's got 2 sets of Stadium of Fire tickets to see Rascal Flatts that we're going to give away. So we've been talking about
Rascal
all week.
Flatts for ever since it got announced. Like every time I'm in the car, I start singing "What Hurts the Most."
We will show you how to win these seats here in just a couple of minutes, and then Travis Brady will join us from BradyPlus. We'll talk about big business. And by the way, that BradyPlus name you're going to see it around here a little more often.
We'll talk to Travis about that a little bit.
In a very special place. That's coming up here in just a minute on our loaded show for June 23rd. And of course, you can hear the clock ticking. Ryder Lyons going to announce tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. Mountain Time on ESPN's Pat McAfee show. This, according to Dick Harmon of the Deseret News, that's where he's going to announce where he's going to play. Is it going to be Oregon? Is it going to be BYU? Is it going to be USC? By all accounts, it seems to come down between BYU and Oregon, and Lyons was in town over the weekend on his official visit and the last stop on his recruiting trail. So BYU was the first offer, and they were the last to close the deal, and Kalani's pretty good about doing that.
Yeah, it's always and Kalani be the last person that they met with while they were there on campus. So when you say the last word, you really mean it. It was a great recruiting weekend, a big one, and he was part of it. I'm pretty certain Ryder chose a karaoke song and performed it with the whole group.
With the team karaoke?
So all of the recruits that were on campus this weekend, they kind of finished up that last night over at the hotel with a big, huge karaoke night. Some actually did live music. My guitar got sent over there to be played by some of the dads, I guess, they could play.
Nice.
But parents were singing karaoke. I think every player, every one of the big recruits on campus sang karaoke. And what a great way to end the weekend. You and I were talking before we came on the air. Can you think of any place else that you go on a recruiting visit where the families have a family karaoke night to end the recruiting visit?
I don't know of another place.
It is unique.
Yeah.
And BYU's looking for unique players. And for those that hits home with, they're going to realize this is different than the other recruiting visits I've been on. This is a different place. And hopefully they feel like and that different place is really good for me, especially off the field, but BYU can compete with anybody on the field, and so this is where I need to be. And we know that there were a number of commitments over the weekend.
Yeah.
BYU's coaches do a great job of honoring the kids' wishes to allow them to announce that, right? To not leak it to anybody and to let the kids do it on their own. And, of course, Ryder's going to do this tomorrow morning. And if he chooses BYU, he'll be the first 5-star quarterback since 2009 when the Cougars signed Jake Heaps.
Lyons is 6'2", 215 pounds. He's a dual threat quarterback, means he can run and throw. Folsom, California, last year, 3,000 yards passing, 46 touchdowns, just 6 interceptions.
Right, which is big.
And then he ran for 14. He's going to play a senior year at Folsom. And then he's going to serve a church mission. BYU's 2026 recruiting class is already their best in program history. But in the next few days, it could skyrocket, not just with Lyons, but if BYU gets him, it sets into a rotation with him and Bear Bachmeier, who will be the starter, most likely, for the few years before Lyons is ready. And that's a pretty good
funny?
duo.
We weren't even talking about Bear Bachmeier, who BYU recruited hard last year, signed with Stanford, and graduated early, went to Stanford, played spring ball. It sounds like he won the starting job as a true freshman in spring ball, and then they fired their head coach, and he said, wait a minute, BYU is number 2 on my list. Hey, BYU, can you still use me? And, of course, BYU welcomed him with open arms.
Yeah.
And they also got his brother Tiger with him, who was a very effective wide receiver there. But we weren't even talking about Bear Bachmeier 2 months ago. And now he's a big part of the plan.
Yeah, and maybe sooner than later.
Yeah, big part of the plan. And I can tell you, all accounts from him throwing with the team is he's very skilled and is going to fit in really, really well in this offense. So...
Rebel Dog, Mike from Huntsville, Alabama on the live stream. There's Henderson, Nevada. Let's see. How about South Carolina on the stream?
I saw Alabama. Yeah, Mike from
Las
Huntsville,
Vegas.
Alabama. Yeah.
Yeah. And so we're spanning the globe once again.
South Carolina.
And we look forward to that. Talking about baseball, not tonight. Sorry, brother. But there'll be many shows ahead where we'll tackle baseball.
You and I just had Trent Pratt on Sports Nation. Was that this last week?
It was great. Last week, yeah.
It was just Tuesday.
Seems like it.
Yeah, it was last Tuesday.
Was it this week?
Yeah,
last week.
We did. You know what? If you want to hear baseball, Dave and I did talk baseball. We brought Trent Pratt in.
Yeah, it was great.
And we hosted Sports Nation together last Tuesday, and we spent some time with Trent. So there you go. You can go find that.
There were some weekend commitments. Graham Livingston, 3-star receiver from Ridgeline High School here in Utah, over 3,200 receiving yards, 28 touchdowns his last 3 seasons. His brother Hayden played at BYU in 2016, and then after his mission, 2019 to 2022. This kid is said to be one of the fastest receivers in the state of Utah. Yeah,
and he is... Hayden was a very good athlete and played some significant downs and contributed for BYU at safety. And little brother is an outstanding athlete, probably more foot speed. And, in fact, actually does have more foot speed. And this is a big get for BYU. Everybody's excited about having him.
Jackson Gates, a 3-star defensive back, decommitted from Syracuse, now crystal balled for BYU after his weekend visit by 24/7 Sports. There are some who say that might be the most talented corner they've ever signed.
Yeah.
And that's saying a lot.
Yeah, he reminds, I know that when you talk to some of the guys on the staff that were at Utah, he reminds them of some of the great players that played multiple years in the NFL that played up at Utah. He's in that mold. So, yeah. That's a nice crystal ball. I hope that crystal ball comes true.
Yeah, me too. So 16 players on official visits over the weekend with a number of commitments we anticipate in the coming days. The first one maybe tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock Mountain Time on ESPN. The last time a kid went on ESPN and announced his commitment was McKay Madsen.
Right.
He picked BYU over Oregon. This one seems to be between BYU and Oregon. And then the one before that was A.J. DeBonce, who picked BYU over North Carolina, Kansas,
This is starting
Alabama.
to be a habit. When you go on that show, you pick BYU, right? So we hope that happens. How about Parker Kingston, wide receiver and kick returner? Phil Steele has him a preseason All-American.
Yeah,
which is pretty cool. And Parker, just saw him last week. They were throwing before I got over to the indoor practice facility, and he's looking good. He's looking stronger and a little bigger. So
that's good. Will Ferrin is also a preseason All-American, according to Phil Steele. A school record 24 field goals last season, including making the last 16. There's a lot of pressure when he comes on the field against Portland State to make it 17 in a row.
Do you think that Big Game Bill even feels pressure?
No,
I feel like he does.
so.
I feel like he doesn't even care about it.
He's beyond that.
No, he cares about it, but he doesn't care about the pressure. He just doesn't even acknowledge that it exists.
The thing we don't like about Phil Steele is he picks BYU to tie for 7th in the Big 12.
He's never been picked BYU high in the league. He didn't last year either, so maybe that's good for BYU.
What his deal is.
They don't need him to endorse the team to finish well like they did last year.
Nebraska's on the stream. There's Ruth, another South Carolina viewer here tonight. And there's Sandy, Utah. Good to have everybody.
Tyson Price says, one of these days I want to take a tour of the BYU Sports Nation set.
Yeah.
So
you do that.
Yeah.
You do that anytime.
They do give tours up there, I think, if you request up there. And if we're around, we'd take you around.
A couple of promotions we want to announce, 4 of them, in fact. Gavin Fowler promoted to safeties coach. Matt Mitchell promoted to assistant quarterbacks coach. Tyson McDaniel promoted to assistant tight ends coach. Dylan Allman promoted to special teams analyst. Good for all 4.
Yeah, that's good stuff. So I know that's long awaited for these guys. With the changes happen at the athletic director's office, they were talking about this a while ago, and finally they got all that taken care of, and now they can make this announcement. So they kind of been waiting for this to happen. And it's great because now they've got the titles for what they're actually doing. You know, everyone always asks, A-Rod, you know, he coaches the quarterbacks, right? But he's a coordinator, so does he have time to spend with quarterbacks? Well, Matt Mitchell is with the quarterbacks every day and runs them through all of their individual stuff and all of that. And he's been doing that for a couple of years now. So this is great that he now has the title that goes with what he's been doing. And we talked about Gavin, my youngest son. He's been coaching the safeties, and you know, in the offseason, like he works with the safeties and the corners. And when it's game day, Gavin has responsibility for those safeties because Jay's up in the booth calling plays, you know. And so they're now going to call Gavin what he does. Tyson's been working with those tight ends, and Dylan's new and going to take that analyst role with special teams and work with K-Pop. So great stuff. Great. This BYU staff is really is a solid staff all around, and they're doing a great job of recruiting as well.
Shout out to Les on the live stream from New Mexico. Good to have you back with us, Les. Let's bring in our first guest, and as we do, some key dates. The Big 12 Media Day is coming up July 8th through the 9th in Frisco, Texas. BYU will be there on the 8th. The Chargers report to training camp July 16th. That's the first team. And then football is like officially back. AFR season premiere is July 29th on BYU TV. The Cougars report to camp the end of the month. The Chargers and the Lions play the Hall of Fame game on NBC
next month
on July 31st.
Next month,
that is
Pro
just
football starts.
Next month. That's just how close it all is. We're embarking on the greatest time of year in Utah County with all the events surrounding the 4th of July celebrations. Our pleasure to welcome back to the Wise Guys, the executive director of America's Freedom Festival at Provo, a BYU grad, and our longtime friend Jim Evans. Good to see you.
Oh, it's wonderful to be here. I know last year when I was here, it was just a thrill to be with you two friends. So thank you for having me back.
Are you ready to go? Is everything good?
Oh my gosh. You know, I'll tell you this. You might think it's hot in Provo on July 4th. Nothing hotter than LaVelle Edwards Stadium on July 4th for the Stadium of Fire. And the reason I say that, you guys, is it's going to be a bona fide sellout. Out of the 46,000 tickets, I have fewer than 100 left.
Fantastic.
Oh my goodness.
So, that's awesome.
And in Rascal Flatts, we talked about bands and, you know, how you picked them and all that. When you signed Rascal Flatts, did you have this feeling like, okay, this could be big? This is going to be a big attraction. We're sell this thing out.
I thought so because people wanted them for a while and they've never come here to the Stadium of Fire. I had them signed up during 2020 because of COVID. I had to get my deposit back. It was canceled, and then they weren't touring anymore. So I was thrilled to hear they're going to come this year.
It's going to be great. Jim, why does Provo go to such great lengths to make this time of year so special?
You know, it just brings the community together. You know, let me tell you this. Over 600,000 people come to one or more of our events. We have 32 events, not just the Stadium of Fire, but, you know, and the hundreds and hundreds of volunteers that roll up their sleeves and help this be such a great event.
Can you give us a number, like at least close, of how many people it takes to pull this next 3 weeks off?
Oh, my goodness. I don't know if it's, you know, 500, 600, 700 just volunteers alone. For the Stadium of Fire, there's probably about 200 people involved in that, not to mention Mr. McCann here.
Our MC.
Our MC is wonderful one of our parts, but a lot of people. But, you know, some people just know the Stadium of Fire. But, I mean, you have the 4th of July parade. We have over 340,000 people that come to that every year. We have the Balloon Fest. We have the Hope of America. We have on and on and on. In fact, this coming weekend on Sunday in the Marriott Center, we have Hank Smith as our patriotic speaker at the service, One Voice Children's Choir. We have the Army 23rd Band, and so once again, 7 p.m., Pro Marriott Center for the patriotic service with Hank Smith.
So you got a live mic right there and the platform. If somebody is interested in volunteering, where should they go for more information?
AmericasFreedomFestival.org, freedomfestival.org, or they can, once again, Provo City can send them our way, but freedomfestival.org, and there's a link there where you can volunteer.
And is there a need?
There's always a need. We'll always take volunteers.
Okay. All right, everybody. There's your chance to come get
get
involved.
after it. It'd be fun to be involved. So let's go through the notable events. You mentioned that this Sunday we start with the Patriotic Service, 7 p.m. Marriott Center, and Hank Smith is the speaker. Plus,
by the way, Hank's tag team partner John, by the way, will be on the show
he's
next
coming on the show next week.
Awesome.
So
Awesome.
yeah, those guys are great. And then July 2nd is the Freedom Awards Gala at the Utah Valley Convention Center. What's that all about?
Oh, we honor patriots, individuals that have made a difference in the world and the community. We have an individual this year who was one of the Arkansas 9. Once again, she was 14 years old when they had to have the National Guard take them into the high school. Remember, they couldn't go into high school, and she's going to be there this year. Wow. We've got a Vietnam helicopter pilot and some other vets as well, so we honor that. Other events, we have the Children's Parade, a week from Saturday. They're down in Provo. We have the Bluegrass Festival at the Orem City Center Park this coming Saturday. On and on and on. And you can go to our Freedoms Festival website and look at all the different events that we have.
One thing about that Freedom Awards Gala, which is sold out, and I don't know how many people we're going to have in there, 1,000?
Probably, no, I think, 800 to 900.
Are you hosting that too?
Yeah,
He's the MC
I get to be the
at that as
MC.
well.
Okay, he's doing that and the stadium.
That's one of the great. That's one of the great 2 hours of our life, and it always ends with a standing ovation for the honoree, and then they just stand there and soak it in, and then that carries over to Stadium of Fire when we feature them. Much briefer, right? And then we have them stand up, and then 40,000, 45,000 people give them a standing O, and they deserve it. And it just makes for a great moment.
They do. Along with that, Blaine, we have the Hot Air Balloon Festival where 25 balloons from all around the country come there at Fox Field, as we call it, down by the hospital, and they'll chase each other around and have the balloons for 3 different days.
Yeah, that's the third, fourth, fifth, right?
Third, fourth, and
fifth.
The Colonial Fest is an amazing experience there at the Sarah Park, where they have people reenact early days as the colonies, and once again, come down to that and check that out as well. On and on and on.
The Grand Parade?
Grand Parade, once
which
again.
we don't ever miss. So that's on the 4th.
That's on the 4th of July. The Freedom Run for you runners or walkers.
Right. Freedom Run,
sign up
bright
for the
and
Freedom
early.
Run, bright and early.
So the parade's 9 a.m., right? And the run starts earlier than that.
Yeah,
right?
about 6:30ish, I think, is when they start.
I think I'm out on that one. This year.
Yeah, that's good. So because it's a late night for us
I'm
at the
in for
stadium.
the parade. I'm out for the run. So.
It's not all the time that the parade and Stadium of Fire get on the same day due to scheduling and all that stuff. The parade's always on the 4th, unless the 4th is a Sunday. And the Stadium of Fire tries to be close to a Saturday, but this year they just line up perfectly.
It is. Not only that, you want a couple more? The balloons will be launching on the 4th of July. Freedom Days down there at the county building in downtown Provo, where they have the booths and the vendors and the music and the bands, and once again, on and on and on. All sorts of many events.
Yeah.
We've got it on the link is on our stream for everything, freedomfestival.org. We're thrilled to have Jim Evans, Executive Director of America's Freedom Festival at Provo, on the Wise Guys, presented by BradyPlus, supplies plus support. Learn more at BradyPlus.com. By Eddie, HR and payroll software built for small businesses. See how Eddie can serve your team at Eddie.com.
Yeah, and by Mountain America Credit Union. Apply for your BYU credit card featuring a $100 bonus at any Mountain America branch or macu.com/BYU Visa. And then Wise Guys is distributed by the Deseret News.
Hey, how about Henry Marsh on the stream? Please give Jim a special shout out for me.
There you go.
One of the greatest of all time.
Henry sat in that seat and
oh my gosh,
he just told us some stories about running the World Championships and in the Olympics. Like, what a fascinating and amazing human being.
Can we still get him to run in the Freedom Run? Is my question.
You know what?
Nice.
I wouldn't be surprised if Henry could still.
I give him a free sign up to run in that.
Henry, you hearing that? He's talking to you right now.
Free sign up to Henry Marsh to run in the Freedom Run. So
awesome.
When this time of year, we all kind of look inward and remember what we're grateful for in this great country. So when you think about this time of year and the freedoms that we enjoy in this country, what comes to your mind?
Well, I'll tell you, the reason that they were able to talk me into being the executive director of this, the trustees, because how's this for a mission statement? God, family, freedom, and country. That's what all of our values. That's what we promote for our values. And so those, just knowing that I'm helping families come together, all our volunteers coming together to love our country, to love their God, to love their community, that it doesn't get any better than that.
In addition to being a BYU grad, you're a fan, you're a booster. What are you most excited to see in this athletic year, which after Stadium of Fire is the next big thing.
It is. Well, I go to football and men's basketball and volleyball, but Dave also knows how much we're big boosters of the women's basketball team.
Front row, center court.
Center court.
Yeah.
So my man, Lee Camard, is going to be an awesome coach this year, and the ladies love him. Yeah, I'm just looking for great things for many years to come from Lee and the team.
Delaney Gibb and company.
Delaney, and they got Wilson coming back. By the way, I've never forgotten last year the question you asked me. You were asking what favorite cereals were.
Yeah.
I found out that Dave and I like Captain Crunch, and we know how to eat it without hurting our mouth.
I can't do it.
That's
I
right.
can't do
Veterans.
it.
We're veterans.
I'll never forget that question.
I need the crunch berries to kind of be a round buffer up there. I can't just eat the sharp edge, just the crunches like you guys can. So.
We've got a set of 5 new things for you. 5 questions is presented by Strategy Square. Let Chantal give your company's online business a boost. You can reach her at strategysquare.co. The top 5 Stadium of Fire performers of all time, from 5 down to your all-time favorite. We kind of talked about it a little bit last time, but not the top 5.
No, we didn't go this deep.
Okay, are you ready? The top 5?
Are you going to start with 5 though?
Yeah.
I was going to start at top, but okay.
Let's start with 5. Can you think of them backwards if you can?
Yeah, okay, here we go. Okay, let's go with One Republic.
Was number 5.
Okay, Keith Urban.
Oh,
Keith Urban's at 4.
that was Dave's got him up in the top.
Okay, I've got Jonas Brothers.
Oh, they were great
Last year or the first time?
Last year.
I thought they were great.
They were so
Jonas
good.
Brothers.
Yeah.
Okay, you ready? The double play. Journey and Journey.
Oh, because they've been twice.
Journey.
They've been twice. And you got to know, you're talking to a lover of classic rock here.
Yeah.
But Journey just outdid themselves when they came a couple
How do you
years
feel?
ago.
I feel like, and I don't know, I'm a big Rascal Flatts fan, but I feel like Rascal Flatts is going to find their way into that top 5 because they're going to do such an amazing job this year.
They will, from Life is a Highway to Me and My Gang to On and On to My Wish.
I've set out
So
on
you got
a
Journey
narrow
number
way.
1 and number 2?
Journey, I just love Journey.
Yeah.
Who do you have in there?
I've got Keith Urban number 1.
Yeah.
Yeah, I figured.
But you go back, Beach Boys was fun back in the day.
Yes, that was great. I remember the Beach Boys.
Carrie Underwood, I missed both of her shows, but everyone's
Carrie
still
was
buzzing that one.
She's fantastic. Yeah.
I like Brad Paisley, but we
got
know
a
Brad's
relationship
family.
with Brad's family. So.
But I'm a big Keith Urban fan, so I thought they were good. But last year, when Jonas Brothers started playing their songs, I was just stunned. It was just great.
Can I tell I guess I just wasn't that familiar with them, and my kids were going, Dad, they sing this and this. And I'm like, oh yeah, I know that. The performance they put on in that stadium last year, I have them up. I put them in my top 3 for sure too. I was so pleasantly surprised by how good they were.
I love Waffle House, one of the newer songs. I love that song.
They've got some good stuff.
And how were they? Were they to deal with? Were they fun?
Very good to deal with, and they enjoyed themselves. All these performers, even Journey, they come back. Tim McGraw comes back because they had a great experience the first time.
Tim
they were
McGraw,
there.
I have Tim McGraw in my top.
Tim's right up
I'd
there
have him
as
in my
well.
top 5.
Too many. I can't list 5.
There's
So many
been
good ones. So
some
many
great
good ones.
Gosh, yeah, I forgot I didn't have McGraw on that list, but he was good. So the other day you said, hey, do you want to give out a couple of tickets to the show at Stadium of Fire on Wise Guys, and then you came in going, hey, why don't we give 2 sets out?
I got 4 tickets.
So we got 4 tickets.
And you just said the thing sold out wall to wall.
It is. So literally, we can hold 46,280 people this year. And I have fewer than 100 tickets left for the next week.
And you're going to give our folks out there all around the world a chance to get 4 of those.
I love Cougar Nation. I love you guys.
There we go. That is such awesome.
Hey, let me tell you this. I had someone this morning text me and said, hey, break a leg, go Cougars. I'm thinking, what are you talking about? I forgot that I was on here tonight.
I'm sure glad they reminded you.
Yeah, I would have been here.
On the stream, there's a Miley Cyrus reference on the stream. And
Miley was awesome.
Who was the one that has the talk show in the middle of the day?
Kelly.
She was fantastic.
Kelly
Clarkson.
Like to get her back again.
So talented. Yeah. So talented.
I had no idea that she had so many songs that I knew all the words to.
She's so good. Yeah.
Another great
she can sing
act.
anybody else's song too. She's ridiculous.
Okay, so look, go to our social media pages on Facebook, Instagram, and X to enter to win a set of 2 tickets. So 2 sets of 2 tickets to Stadium of Fire. You can get bonus entries by entering on all 3 platforms. Winners will be announced tomorrow night at 7 o'clock Mountain Time, and then we'll get to you, and we'll make sure you get to where you need to be to see Rascal Flatts at Lavelle Edwards Stadium. Your chance to win from America's Freedom Festival at Provo and Wise Guys. So, again, check your Facebook, Instagram, and X, our social media pages.
Yeah, and if you put it on all 3, then you get an extra chance.
Yeah.
So don't forget to do all 3. So
yeah, Toby Keith. So Toby Keith was great. I was in Vegas. I missed Toby Keith.
yeah, man. There's and Jim, you get to interact with these folks. Well, Dave does too a little bit, but you get to interact by booking them and searching out and doing the research on them, make sure they're fit and everything. And
We do. They're gracious, and their managers, agents are really gracious, really great to work with.
so fun.
Well, when you and I were talking to Keith Urban, I just thought that was the night where the winds came and it was nasty, and so they canceled the jets. And then by the time he took the show, it was perfect conditions, and then he just rocked the place.
Now, I'm going to say something online because the 46,000 people won't know this. I know that's somebody listening to your show. But, you know, the
it's
Jets.
more than that.
I'm going to talk about the Jets.
Yeah.
Okay. There's going to be a surprise this year, and it's not going to be the Jets. What's going to happen is because the Jets, we've tried Nellis, Hill, everywhere, and they said we're busy preparing for other activities.
They seem to be preoccupied.
They are right now.
They've got some stuff going on.
However, not outdoor. So we basically have 3 to 4 huge military helicopters that are supposed to fly over the stadium at the same time.
Oh, that'll be cool.
That'll be very
just
cool.
rumble that stadium.
And the great thing about helicopters is they can fly low.
They can fly low and show and rumble. So just FYI, I always give a little exclusive. That's exclusive this year.
Yeah, that's good. And so it's helicopters instead of jets. But I think
That's
if you're
still pretty
following
cool.
world events, you understand where the jets are.
Yeah.
And why the Air Force is
even if
on
they're
high
not-
alert.
Over there, they're ready to roll.
Will you let me give a shout out?
Absolutely.
Yeah, of course.
The first one's always your brother Fowler,
Ah.
my buddy. I miss seeing him all the time, and your dad's always been so kind to me.
Thank you.
The second one,
He listens, so.
my dear sweetheart Tana. She's tomorrow. Tomorrow is our 47th anniversary.
Is that right?
That means that she's humored me for 47 years.
Wow.
And I think she's still going to keep doing that. So
You're
anyway,
not old enough
Tana,
to be married 47 years.
Tana, love you. So
Happy
everyone.
anniversary
Happy
to the
anniversary.
Evans. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
We love having you
Thank you.
on, and we love what you do every year. And you've done so much for the community as mayor. Like everything that you've done, you seem to always be giving back, and we appreciate that. That's why we love to have you on.
I love you too. Great to be with you, and thanks for promoting the cause of BYU sports.
You got it.
We
Thank
love
you,
it.
Jim.
We got
Thanks
a
for
great
being
job.
here.
Thanks, Jim.
If
Appreciate
you
it.
would like to volunteer again to the various Freedom Festival events, go to americasfreedomfestival.org. And we look forward to seeing you over the next couple of weeks. It is a magical time of year, and Stadium of Fire with Rascal Flatts is going to be so good. And we're really excited about all of that. Thank you. I'll see you a little later. The great Jim Evans, great supporter of BYU athletics, and he's the boss when it comes to the Freedom Festival. Our next guest is a BYU grad who's the president of BradyPlus, which we are proud to have as a title sponsor of the Wise Guys. He and I have been friends since our boys played together on the Cubs in the Piccoli Little League in Las Vegas. Our pleasure to welcome Travis Brady back to the Wise Guys, live from Southern Nevada after the tail end of a work day where he's running his empire. Travis, good evening.
Hey, Dave, how you doing?
We're good. Can you believe there was a time when the biggest decision of the day was who to start at pitcher and whether or not the Channel 8 helicopter was going to come by and shoot highlights?
Oh yeah, those were the days. I still pull out those photos from time to time. We still talk about those glory days in our family, Dave. There's a lot of bragging that's been going on. Sometimes deserved, most often not deserved. But those were some good times.
So we have, Travis, we have a patriotic theme going on tonight. We just had Jim Evans, who's the executive director of the Freedom Festival.
Yeah, I got to get in on those tickets. Yeah, don't let Jim out of there.
No,
I'm
you
gonna
just left.
Sign up for
You
those,
should have
for
told
those
us.
2 tickets.
I'll send you his number.
No,
Yeah.
we're going. Get some tickets. It's become a tradition for sure in the Brady family.
Oh, yeah.
We go enjoy Stadium of Fire, but a lot of those events that the Freedom Festival puts on. So we'll be there, but that's a hot commodity.
It is that. And with your travels, you travel all over the world. We know what comes to your mind when you consider the good fortune we enjoy by living here in the United States of America.
Oh, it's amazing. I mean, just the fact that we don't wake up every day, wondering, like, where can we go? Where shouldn't we go? Questioning our ability to live our lives, to, worship the way we worship, to make decisions with our lives professionally, personally, rarely, if ever, are those daily decisions kind of limited by, lack of freedom or opportunity or, daily lack of safety or fear for our lives, those things that we so often take for granted. But of course, coming up on an amazing time of year where we get to celebrate that, and certainly where things are fragile in the world, maybe a more reminder for us to cherish it, preserve it, contribute positively to it. It's not just about being safe, but it's being good, and being good, citizens and contributors in our communities.
How vital is it to stop down and pause in our busy lives and even have a day off, right? July 4th, a national holiday for many, but to just reflect and not just let it all blow off in the busyness of our lives.
Yeah. I mean, it's such a gift. And too often, these gifts that we have, because they're so accustomed to us, we take them for granted. But it is, we have something special here, without a doubt. And we love, often people say, well, what are you doing for the 4th of July? And we always say, we're going to Provo. And they're like, well, why are you heading to Provo? And it's like, well, no one does the 4th better than Provo. Just that patriotic kind of small town feel parade, just from the balloon festival that's amazing to of course, the Stadium of Fire, the Freedom Run. I mean, all those things. I mean, I think we've checked the boxes off that whole list, not to mention, the Freedom Award, the Freedom Awards that they give out, and some of the amazing stories of people that, have contributed to our freedom or have found freedom, in this country, coming from challenging circumstances. So, it's a great celebration, and Provo does it right.
We're so excited about it, and we're glad you guys are coming up again this year. So this is a summer before an athletic year that has the potential to be just crazy out of this world for BYU. What are you most excited about as you look forward to football starts first, but football and basketball and volleyball, of course, with Jared and all of that?
Yeah. I'm, you guys are more like the sport historians here. I can't remember a time in my life where there's been more talk about so many different sports at BYU. From, the buzz on football, the great program and record we came off last year. I mean, basketball, the recruiting effort, the amazing run that we had. But then you talk about, the track and field sports, the cross country teams, of course, we love volleyball, and they're always, competitive in volleyball. But you can go right on down the list, and it's a good time to be a Cougar fan.
Travis, we are going to see something we've never seen this year. And that is the BradyPlus logo inside Lavelle Edwards Stadium. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so those don't come up very often.
No.
And we just love, more than anything, we love supporting good things. And sometimes people have asked, what is it that you're trying to hope for in supporting BYU or BYU athletics? And to me and to my wife and to our family, it's simple. I mean, we love what BYU stands for. For us personally, it's been the start of a lot of good things. Yeah. I talk about, my wife and I met there. Our kids have, in large cases, met their spouses while attending there in that environment. We just, again, love the high level of achievement, from academics to sports to just citizenship and those things that it stands for. So we love supporting it. And so, back to your question, we are, in fact, I think it's going up this week from what I understand. We're going to see a nice shiny blue, BradyPlus, billboard in the south, I think the southwest corner of the of the end zone there. So we're pleased to have that happen.
That's going to be great.
Yeah, it's going to be so cool. And you've really been a part of BYU athletics for it feels like forever, but I know it hasn't been forever. But you sponsor a lot of the things that go on with the different programs, the different athletic programs. You've also been a big supporter of Dave and I at BYU TV and helped keep that thing rolling so that we can bring BYU sports to people all around the world. And then you're the first one on board, Travis, to help us out with this endeavor, with this Wise Guys thing. And we'll forever be grateful, because it was at a time when we were thinking, can we really do this? Is this sustainable? Can people catch the vision? And you came on and sustained us. And now the thing has grown crazy. Like, it's the amount of downloads and exposures every month is phenomenal, but we couldn't have done it without you. And so we wanted to give you a public thanks for that. And also say, what were you even thinking to join up with us two crazy guys?
Well, no, but in all honesty, what other university has like the quality and depth of broadcasting and coverage and things that BYU has, from BYU TV, the amazing broadcasting that they do, the commentary, the other shows around athletics in the program, Wise Guys included. I mean, I put that up against any program. The quality of support and broadcasting that we have at BYU, and so we're thrilled to support it.
We're thrilled to
support you guys personally, plus great guys. You can't. How do you pass up on that to somehow get associated with two high caliber guys? Hopefully some of that rubs off on me.
DJ, are we recording this?
Yes, that's
so we can play this.
Well, you guys had it was Jared you were coaching right back in the old days.
Jared and Ben.
Yeah, Jared and Ben,
and then Laura was our team mom, and Travis was our sponsor. I mean, it was a whole operation.
Yeah, and then Travis, I don't know. I think you know that I had Jared in my ward when I was serving up on campus, and I loved having him in the ward. He was such a great. All of your kids, I'm certain, have not fallen far from the tree, right? Because you've raised a fantastic group of kids, and Jared's was great to have in our ward when I was serving up on campus.
They have a great mom. Let me put it. They have a great mom.
They do have a great mom.
They've had great, male mentors in their life, and hopefully that's contributed a little bit. But we're thrilled. In fact, Jared's back in New York on an internship this summer. Visiting him, and we've got the other two actually back in Vegas somehow. We've coaxed them back here, so we'll see if we can lasso Jared and his wife Kenley back here at some point. But,
it's a great bunch.
We've been real fortunate.
Jared and Ben get a lot of it because we're on the teams, but Allison certainly deserves her shout out, and she gave you your first grandchild, so that makes her number one like forever.
Oh yeah. She set the bar high for her siblings too. She's she's an overachiever, and so that's we're all benefiting from her achievements and work ethic. So an example.
Travis Brady, president of BradyPlus on the Wise Guys, presented by BradyPlus, Eddie, Mountain America Credit Union, and distributed by the Deseret News. You've been very successful running a massive company. Brian Santiago is now in charge of running BYU Athletics, another massive organization. When it comes to leading a big group like that, what's worked for you?
For us, and people ask sometimes, what's our secret sauce, or what makes us successful? The products that we carry, we're proud of, but they're not unique per se. But for us, it's all culture, and sometimes people say that, but I think you would ask, throughout our organization, what has made us successful, and that's that culture of doing the right thing, being partnered for the long term, being proud of where you work and who you work with. So much of our team has been here for their whole careers. We're down to second generation, team members as well, whose parents are retired with us and are carrying on the torch. So, and as we've grown a lot through acquiring businesses, joining with other businesses, that culture is what kind of that one unifying force that brings us together. And I think if we get that right, we can figure out the day-to-day, operational things and the day-to-day decisions. We'll make some mistakes along the way, but if we're aligned and we got that culture right, we feel pretty good about how we're going to do.
It seems like the blueprint for a athletic department that has so many teams and so many coaches just get on the same page and create that same thing.
Yeah, same thing. Everyone has their role. Everyone has, something that they focus on day by day, but it's that kind of culture, that vision that aligns us, and certainly something that Brian's stepping into in a good way, and that we think we have a good thing going at BradyPlus.
Part of that culture, Travis, is that you guys have been involved as a company and as a family in a lot of good causes. I know that's been a priority for BradyPlus. What are some of your favorite projects the company's been involved in?
Well, we actually have last year we got our employees involved in saying, hey, look, we're gonna continue to sponsor and support a lot of things on a local level, and find good causes and good things to be involved in. But we said, but let's align with something as a company, and we had them all selected, and so we aligned around 2 causes actually, which is Wounded Warrior and American Cancer Society. So when we get in fact, this July, we're going to have a big national sales conference in July. We're going to have some service projects and donation kind of blitzes aligned with those 2 causes. And so, we just think it's, we benefit from serving our community. It's good to give back, to the community. And I think it aligns well with our culture. And we have great employees that love to dig in and volunteer and take these opportunities to contribute.
That's awesome. You know what we need to do? We need to get that football team down in your stadium again.
Yeah.
You built that big Allegiant Stadium, and we got to figure out how to get the Cougars down there.
Single-handedly built that. Yeah. No, it's. I was. I've been there for a couple of BYU games, right? Arizona and Notre Dame, if I remember correctly. But no, it's a great venue. It looks better in blue, though. I'll tell you.
Yeah.
Nothing against the silver and black,
right.
But I think it wears blue pretty well.
Is BradyPlus in that building anywhere? You guys, is that a contract you guys have?
So we do provide a lot of the supplies there. We actually, at an industry event, this was pretty cool, in November in Vegas, our whole industry from really around the world, but predominantly in North America, descends on Las Vegas for an annual conference, and we had a big event in Allegiant. So we had the whole stadium to ourselves.
Nice.
We were having kick, punt, and pass competitions, and I'll tell you, there was a video of me kicking a field goal that may or may not have been spliced together to actually show that it happened. The ball may have been being kicked from the goal line by the time I made it.
Nice.
That is a lot harder than my mind pictured. And, going back to my 18-year-old, athletic days, I thought I could do it a lot easier than I did. But I think on take 25, I think I finally got that thing in.
Listen, if there was a cycling event in that stadium, you would have won.
Kill it. You would kill it. So. Yeah, I'm always surprised. Like I'm places all over the country, and all of a sudden I see BradyPlus there, which I don't know. I feel like connected to it, so I always have a great sense of pride when I'm in some state and I'm not even thinking about it, and there's your name, and I have a great sense of pride because of your connection with us. So it's been cool how widespread your company has grown and the impact that it has.
Well, that's nice. Yeah, we're proud of what we've done. It's been a team effort, a lot of work, and we still have a lot of work left to do. But we spread out. I think we're 40 states. I think we operate in. I think we deliver to more than that. There's a couple we don't quite make it to, but we'll continue to fill in some of that geography. You're not going to be able to escape. You won't be able to go on any vacation, without us sneaking up on you somewhere.
That's fantastic.
But yeah, we keep growing.
5 questions for Travis, presented by Strategy Square. Get your company's social media with Chantal at strategysquare.co. Last time you were on, we hit you with our regular ones, and this time we thought we'd do a BradyPlus, more closely aligned with who you are and what you're.
I'm still catching flack for my music choices last time, by the way.
No, I thought they were great.
They were spot on. What are you talking about?
So I'm trying to remember what your cereal. We were just discussing the cereal choice with Jim because Jim and Dave both like regular old Captain Crunch.
Yeah, we're old school.
And they're arguing with me because I say cut your mouth. But what was your favorite cereal?
I think it was I probably said Fruit Loops. I think I shared that.
Yeah, see,
I was like twice a year we got sweet cereal kind of family. And, with a big family, it was like, that was the one day we were setting alarms to get up early to get at it before that was gone.
Oh, yeah, that's how. If
stuff.
we didn't get up on Saturday morning, our parents were smart, If you don't get up in time to do your chores, the cereal's going to be gone. And
yeah,
and we were
no
up.
doubt. You'd hear a crackle of a box, and you'd be sprinting down to the kitchen.
All right, here's question number 1, Blaine.
Yep. Who's the biggest client for BradyPlus?
Wow, I'd see biggest client. We have several that are pretty big, and I would say Whole Foods is a really large client of ours. FedEx, Walmart, some of those big ones. They just have a lot of operations. associated with them. But probably all in, if you take all of the divisions, all the different things, it might be within that Walmart family, from Walmart to Sam's Club to some of their logistics centers.
Yeah.
That's certainly one of the biggest.
Well, that was just a who's who: Whole Foods, FedEx, Walmart. Yeah.
You didn't even mention the Pentagon. So if you're in the Pentagon, is that a government-wide type, or is it just kind of exclusive to those guys?
That is a client, actually. So we have, out of our Washington, D.C. office, there's different of those government buildings that the purchasing decisions are made in different ways. But let's see, I think it's the office of the Capitol Architect or something handles a lot of those.
Wow.
And they're a client of ours, so we end up in a lot of unique places.
Yeah,
that's great stuff. Well, number 2 you already answered, because we were going to ask you what the number of states you operated in were now, and you just said 40 is the number of states, right?
Yeah, 40 we would have actual facilities in,
okay.
Whether it's warehouses or maybe a kind of a satellite warehouse or office. We would probably service another 6 or 7, states, from those facilities. So there's a few we don't get to. We're not in Hawaii yet. That's not an easy place to, service from afar. We are in Alaska. And we don't get today up to the Dakotas. There's a couple, there's a few of these, but we're still getting there.
Tough to drive a truck.
Well, they're only like 3 away. So, and Hawaii's one of those. Let's see if we can't help them getting those. Yeah. So, okay, number of employees is the third question.
Yeah, we're actually right at about 6,000 employees.
Man.
So plus or minus a few, but a big team.
That's good.
So number 4 is what is one thing that people don't know about BradyPlus that you wish they knew?
That's an interesting question in this setting, and this is why. As we've advertised at BYU TV, and Dave, as you know this, and Blaine, there's some limits on how maybe aggressively you can advertise, there, and it's more of an informational spot. So we've just been a little bit vague as to what we do on BYU TV. So what probably is interesting is within the BYU community, BYU TV community, there's a lot of people that don't know what we do, even though they're familiar with our company name. So probably what I would say is, what I want people to know is what we actually do. And that is we provide, kind of those product and training solutions related to commercial cleaning supplies. Food service supplies, let's say non-food food service supplies, so like napkins, plates, cutlery, to-go containers, food film, all of that, and then industrial packaging, so anything that gets shipped, delivered, whether it's the box, whether it's the void fill material, the little popcorn or whatever, different things to stabilize loads as they're being shipped and delivered. So all of those aspects, serving places that need to clean, which is most, that serve food, particularly when it's sold on disposable, type materials, and anything that boxes and ships things.
See, that's what Blaine and I can do for you.
Yeah,
we can give you
guys, we can say it because it's not for profit, right?
And have at it. That's an awesome answer.
So we talk about that each week with our crew. So hopefully millions have been exposed to BradyPlus now through Wise Guys.
I'm curious about the answer to your next question.
Yeah, here we go. This is number 5. What's the class you took at BYU that prepared you the most to run a large corporation like you do?
Wow, probably here's the real answer to that, and it's an indirect answer. There was a political science class that I took that was a research class. Now, I don't know if it probably doesn't even exist today, because what took us a whole semester, of overnight hours in the library to figure out, could be done online now. But it was someone will remember what it was. It was, political science 200 something. But they would give you these random things that you'd have to go figure out. How many physicians were in Indonesia in 1987? And you'd find search through the library till you found a source, and you find answers to things. And so why do I maybe go right there? Is that was one of like the hardest classes for me, just to figure out how to find out answers. And certainly I don't operate in the political science environment, but I think that class kind of forced me to get creative and to not give up on figuring out answers, and and sometimes lean on some others, by the way. Seeing someone come from the basement of the library with a grin saying, okay, what section were you in? But yeah, maybe I'll go there.
That makes, there's a lot of people that say the real benefit of going to college is that you learn how to learn, and you learn how to discover, and you learn how to open up your mind, and not necessarily, there's not that many majors that actually teach you how to do a specific technical thing, right? So sometimes we go to school to learn how to learn, and then we go get out on the job, and we're our minds are open and we can learn. It sounds like that political science class opened your mind.
That was definitely the case with that class, for sure.
Yeah. All right, here's a bonus question. When you come face to face again with the founder of Brady Industries, now BradyPlus, and all those before you that led to this moment, what do you hope they say about how you expanded the company to almost a global operation?
Wow, that's a good question. I hope that they say that it somehow is connected with them in some way. That they have a friend, a neighbor, maybe even a family member that has, worked at BradyPlus, has interned there, or has maybe been a customer and, has gotten, kind of firsthand relationship, firsthand experience with our company. Of course, hopefully it's a positive one, but certainly, love the direct and kind of indirect connections that we have. Kind of, as Blaine mentioned, seeing us in some random, I'm sure, bathroom in a truck stop on the way to Wyoming or something, but love it becoming personal when if someone can draw a direct connection.
That's awesome. Hey, give our love to Laura. We look forward to seeing you guys in a couple weeks up here for the Freedom Festival and Stadium of Fire, and again, we appreciate your support of what we're trying to do here on the Wise Guys. Thank you so much.
Thanks for letting me join. It's always great to talk to you guys, and see you soon.
Hey, look, you can come on anytime you know that. You have the keys to the kingdom, so we'll look forward to another visit.
All right, sounds good.
Travis Brady, live in Las Vegas, the tail end of running his worldwide global operation, BradyPlus. Used to be just Brady Industries, and now BradyPlus. It's BradyPlus, a whole lot of stuff.
A lot of stuff. And I honestly, I've seen their stuff in New York. Mm-hmm. Just recently, I've seen there's a lot of their products. I was just in North Carolina for a funeral, and I walked into a place. I'm like, oh my goodness, there's BradyPlus here. So I've seen them in North Carolina and New York in recent weeks. Yeah, which is really cool. And you could be in any hotel, and they could be they're really, really big with a lot of big hotel chains, and so you're likely to see them in a restroom or in a kitchen or someplace in a hotel anywhere in the world it could be.
Yeah. So. Jared Price, the president of Eddie, is going to join us next week. Wait till you hear his story.
Yeah, it's great.
That is good stuff. Wise Guys is proud to be a Thrive sponsor of the E From Hope Charity Golf Tournament coming up August 5th at Cedar Hills. This is an event that helps kids in Uganda go to school and get educated. We shout out to Creed Construction. That's the title sponsor. Big BYU fans. We'll get to know those folks here on this show as we move through the summer. And we'd love for you to be a Hope sponsor and get your own live stream guest spot. Learn more at efromhope.org. And by the way, don't forget, go to our social media pages and sign up for a chance to win a couple of tickets to see Rascal Flatts. Yeah. 2 sets of 2 are going to you guys, and we'll announce the winner tomorrow night. So you got a chance to jump on there, YouTube, Facebook, and X, and get registered. Do all 3, and do whatever it's got to give you a shot at more options. And then Chantal is going to announce the winner for us tomorrow night at 7 o'clock Mountain Time.
Be fun. So get on the socials there and get it done. So
let's talk basketball.
Yeah, BYU basketball.
There's AJ is doing something every single day.
Yeah, he is.
Now he's going to go conquer the world. We'll tell you his schedule in just a moment. But when it comes to the Big 12, this is before AJ and all the newcomers. John Rothstein put out the returning scoring production by percentage. Everybody that was on last year's team that's back, right? Their returning scoring production, and you know what? It surprised me.
Yeah, it surprised me too, because it felt like, well, Yegor's, but remember, he wasn't a big time scorer; he was a big time assist guy. Right?
Foose was
He was a solid scorer, but they weren't outscoring 20 a night, right? So when we look at this, production by percentage, number one returning is Iowa State at 49.6%.
Okay.
I was surprised that number one wasn't Houston. Right. Houston's
they got a lot of guys coming back.
Yeah, Houston's number two at 48.4. So right there on their heels. But how about BYU being number three at 47.2% of the scoring coming back this season? And you think about the returns. Richie Saunders is the leading scorer, one of the leading scorers in the league.
All Big 12.
He's back. Dawson Baker, who was a great scoring spark off the bench, is back. Keba Keita, who seemed to have his offensive game progress each game that he went out and played, and wow, he's made a lot of progress in this offseason. He's a defensive just enforcer in there. How about him chasing down defensively some of those fast breaks and just throwing the ball off the backboard?
The block dunk at Iowa State.
My goodness, he's great. And his offense is coming along. Boscovich is back. And he was a spark off the bench, and he's been working on his shooting. Brody Kozlowski medically redshirted last year. When he broke that wrist, he was leading the team in three-point shooting in practice. Yeah. And he's come back with a vengeance, and he's really shooting the ball well right now. And then Kadeem Mbop redshirted this last season.
The mystery man.
Yeah, those are who's coming back. And then
look
who's returning, Dave. Who's coming to that's new that will add to the scoring punch.
So they're number 3 in the Big 12 in returning production.
Right.
And then they've added A.J. DeBonsa, the number 1 recruit in the world.
Right.
Rob Wright, who many say was the number 1 point guard in the portal.
Right.
From Baylor. Kennard Davis averaged 16 points at Southern Illinois. Nate Pickens, double figures. Xavier Staten, a 7-footer. Tyler Morus, a big 3-point shooter. And Dominic Diamande. That's who they've added to the group that's already at 47%.
Right.
Or is third in the Big 12 in returning production. So why are they a contender in the conference? There you go.
Yeah, and that's why people are looking at him going, this is some of the best freshman talent anybody in the country has. Mm-hmm. AJ's he's a big-time, once-in-a-lifetime type of a kid that comes into the program, right? And we've seen what he's doing in the U19 practices. He's not just made the under-19 team. He's the best player on the team. It's just going to be so much fun. And so all of a sudden, BYU's, people are talking, is this a top 5 team? Is this a Final Four team? By the way, Arizona was 4 with a returning score at 38.6%. So it's a bigger jump from 3 to 4 than from 1 to 2 to 3. So you're like, man, this is going to be tough. Who do they all have coming back? They're the percentages of the top 4. And I'm hearing that, they've got one more slot, and I'm hearing they're got maybe an inside track on a 7-footer, another 7-footer. Yeah, why not? Yeah, why not? Why not? Because remember, AJ's going to leave after a year, as far as we know, and Richie's going to be gone. Yeah. Kaba will be gone. And Rob Wright might have a kind of season where he could go after next year. If he does, then we've really had something special happen. But this team that's built, Kevin Young's also building a team that's going to be good for years to come, and then add some pieces. Yeah. So Davis, Pickens, Wright, State and the freshman. There's a lot of guys with some time. Right. And the whole team can't go into the draft. I'm not saying Rob Wright's going in the draft. I'm saying if he played out of his mind, he could go. He's that kind of a talent. So, so anyhow, I think he'll be here for a couple of years, which would be great because he's a youngin, and there's a great nucleus. So let's talk a little bit about AJ and what's going on in AJ's life, because there's news about him every day. And he's always up to something fun. So we talked about the fact that he was named that U19 team roster. So here's who they play in the FIBA World Cup next week in Switzerland. And by the way, you texted AJ's dad, and he gave you the schedule, right? Well, he's just sent it to us. Oh, so he's been on the show. We're in, but it seems like these games will be on ESPN. Or something. So the schedule is this: they start. USA is against the Australian team June 28th. They play France on June 29th, Cameroon on July 1st, and then the tournament play starts July 2nd through the 6th. So it's Australia, France, and Cameroon. Why whenever I think of Cameroon, I think of trading places. Cool Runnings? Eddie Murphy saying he's... I can't remember what the name. I think it's because they came from Cameroon. Yeah. From Cameroon. The African Exchange Conference. So then after the Cameroon game, then they go into tournament play. Right. July 2nd through the 6th. And that will be... they'll go for the gold at the FIBA World Cup. Did you see Fran Fraschiller's tweet? ESPN analyst Fran Fraschiller, our old friend that used to work with us here in the Mountain West. Here's the thing about Fran.
He knows his stuff, and he's not afraid to share his opinion.
He
says this, and when you see it, and he tweets it out, so you know it's all him, and he means it.
Yeah.
It makes you go, man, could we just get to November 3rd against Villanova at T-Mobile Arena down in Travis Brady's Las Vegas?
Yeah, amazing. So here's what Fran said. He says, the best description of AJ is that if Kevin Garnett came back as a small forward with his intensity, athleticism, and his team-first style, that's who the Cougars have.
Wow.
That's saying something.
That's saying a whole lot.
That's big time.
NBA champion
KG,
Kevin Garnett.
Yep.
Jordan is in on the stream in North Carolina. Good to have you from the East Coast. And Sean is on in Roseville. Sean, right at this moment, is replacing his flooring and has been a little distracted from the show. But I'm telling you, Sean, stay focused.
Yes, you got to focus.
We do not want a reminder of wise guys when your flooring doesn't quite work out.
But here's the thing. If you feel like you missed it a little bit and didn't get it all, you can always go back and download the podcast tomorrow or watch it on YouTube again tomorrow. But we appreciate you being in tonight with us.
We're here for you all over the place, Sean. Yegor Demon, the draft is Wednesday night. That's the first round. He's going in the first round.
Yeah.
The second round's Thursday. It's all in Brooklyn, New York. So there were some projections, some as late or most recently as before we started the show. Sports Illustrated and Fox Sports have him going number 8 to Brooklyn while he's in Brooklyn.
Which would be cool. I would make sure I keep track of him back there. You know, we've got our daughter and son-in-law that live there. We'd keep track of him. CBS and ESPN have him the 11th pick going to Portland.
That's on the other side.
Yeah. And, you know, you could maybe get up and watch him in Portland.
You don't see...
Take a road trip with Travis Hansen.
You don't hear much about Portland.
Lurie and go up and watch him.
Yeah. It seems like it disappeared.
Remember when Portland was really good? And they were competing for world championships in the old day. And now what happened
when
to
they
them?
had big
Clyde Drexler and they had Bill Walton and they had,
Yeah.
They just kind of have gone away.
That's when we would stay up on Friday night and watch CBS tape delay NBA games.
Yeah.
So we would skip the news because we didn't want to see the score. Usually they were playing the Celtics, and so that had us in. Would pop popcorn, would stay up late and wait for the news to end, and then would turn the TV back on for the NBA tape delay. How far has the NBA come with technology?
But the Blazers were big time in those days,
They were big. The Ringer has Yegor going to 13, going to the Hawks at number 13.
Travis Hansen's whole team, right?
Yeah.
So, and then don't rule out the Jazz,
right? Don't rule
right?
out the Jazz.
Could the Jazz get him?
We've heard some rumblings that the Jazz could do something with their current pick. And maybe pick a little later, but then have 2 higher picks and maybe get Yegor with the second one.
That would be nice.
So we'll see. But hey, they've had a chance to watch Yegor more than anybody over this season. So don't rule out the Jazz. We'll see. But that's the late. What a week for Yegor Demon.
Yeah.
What a week. And Wednesday night, Travis and his family will be back in Brooklyn. I imagine Kevin Young will be there in the room. He's been invited to be in the green room.
Right.
And then hopefully it's not one of those cameras on the lone guy who didn't get picked. But hey, if Brooklyn comes up to number 8, that might be it.
Could be it.
That might be it.
Hey, Idaho Cougar fan says, hey, I download the podcast on the audio iHeart app. So there you go. You can find it on any, wherever you get your podcast, you can find it. So we're talking to Sean, of course, because if he's distracted, we don't want him to miss anything. So Jordan Berry says, I can't wait to see the Cougars play the Heels this fall in hoops.
It'll be an exhibition game up at the Delta Center.
He says, I know it's an exhibition, but still, right? It's so fun.
And then Michael says, hey, Jack Ramsey was the coach of the Blazers when they were rolling.
That's right. That's exactly right,
They
Michael.
They were awesome.
So
how about Trevin Nell?
Yeah, great news for Trevin. Just named to the USA 3x3 team.
So
3x3 we call it, right?
We know if you leave him open and he's hot, he's going to bury you.
Well, and every 3x3 team has to have a great 3-point shooter. That's part of the game. And remember that Jimmer's the managing director of USA 3x3, the national team.
Do you think Jimmer was sitting in a meeting and he goes, I know a guy
that can shoot it lights out?
out.
So
great for Trevin.
Congrats to Trevin
to represent the United States.
Trevor and Tatum came on the show together.
Yeah, it was awesome.
It was great.
College Basketball Report listed the top programs by combined football and basketball win percentage over the last 10 seasons. Now, in the summertime, we love it when lists like this come out.
Yeah, because it's fun to talk about.
Because it's like, okay, it's kind of random, and so what? So here it is, the top programs, football, basketball combined, their win percentages over the last 10 years, and we're going to roll out the top 10, which gives you a hint that why would we?
Yeah.
It's wise guys.
So, and I have to tell you, I'm going to give Brenda some credit. So my wife, Brenda, last night I said to her, wow, this college basketball report thing has this combined basketball and football. And I said, who do you think's number? She got 1 through 5.
Yeah, it's understandable, but she is smart.
She's smart. I can't believe she got 1 through 5. She didn't get 6, which is a pity because it's a Big 12 team. But
yeah.
So let's
I
go
was
through
surprised by 6.
She like immediately she just throws 1 out. So who do you out there, like, think in your mind right now, let's see if you're right. Who's number 1 combined basketball and football wins or winning programs percentage over the last 10 seasons? She immediately just throws it out there and she was right on the money.
And their basketball program's sneaky good.
Yeah.
But football certainly has been dominant.
Right. Right. In fact, the top 4 teams, 5 teams have been really, really good in football.
Yeah. So it all makes sense. Last 10 years, here they are.
Number 1, Alabama. 76.2% football and basketball combined.
All right.
Brendan nailed it. Number 2, another gigantic football school, Ohio State, 74%.
Clemson's at 3 at 73.6. Michigan's at 4 at 70.7. And then Oregon rounds out the top 5 at
and Brendan
70.
got those 5 right in a row. The 6 is a Big 12 team that she didn't get.
It surprised me because they've been so lousy in football.
Right.
But Houston, they win so much in basketball, it carried
But
on.
remember, when they were in the old American Athletic Conference back at the beginning of this last decade, they were pretty good in football. They were winning games.
Yeah.
It's just been the last couple years they haven't been good in football. So that makes sense to me. And 7 makes sense to me, too, because they've been so good in football, and they've been sneaky good with Rice as the coach up there. And that's Boise State at 69.3.
Liberty is next at 68.
That's a surprise, I think, to most people, right?
Yep, they won a lot of games. Not that they've been seen winning a lot of games.
Right.
Memphis,
Yeah.
a balance between football and basketball. They're at number 9 at 680. And by the way, I teased that BYU was in the top 10. They're not in the top 10, but they're close. So we'll continue.
So San Diego State is number 10. That's not a surprise. They've been so good in basketball with our friend Brian Dutcher as a coach, and they've had success in football, 67.7%. Ahead of Oklahoma at number 11, 66.9, and Georgia at number 12, 66.6.
BYU's in at 13 at 65.5, and they win the tiebreaker with number 14, who happens to be Notre Dame.
Yep. Wow.
So BYU's in the top 13 ahead of Notre Dame in the last 10 years of football, basketball combined.
Don't you always, when something like this comes up, you're like, I wonder where Utah is.
Yeah, they didn't make
They're in the 30s.
They didn't make the upper echelon.
So there you go.
Before we get to our Cougar Board question of the week, Larry is saying on the stream, who's going to be the starting quarterback against Portland State? That is the question.
Yeah.
And nobody knows the answer.
Yeah.
We're just waiting. We're waiting on Jake Retzlaff's legal situation, his BYU situation. Could it all go away in time? In theory, it could. Will it? Well, we'll wait and see. We kind of thought all along these next couple of weeks there would be some movement if there was going to be movement, because the line in the sand kind of a thing is Big 12 Media Day. After Big 12 Media Day, you almost need to have your team.
Yeah.
And so it's with him, or are you going another direction? I think we're getting close to that.
Well, and here's the thing about right now. People are like, well, what about reps? And like right now is kind of when the players are doing their player run stuff. They're working with some things on behind the scenes. Like I know Gavin's in breaking down film with guys 3 days a week and doing things like that behind the scenes. But the players are doing their workouts, player run workouts together, and they're out throwing. And you rotate reps this time of year anyhow. So all the guys like Hillstead, Bachmeyer, Bourget,
and Jake
are all getting reps right now. And this is the time of year when you split reps. They just rotate in. You don't go, hey, our starter's got to get 70% of the reps and the backup's got to get 30. And you don't do that now anyhow. So now it doesn't matter. But in a month, it starts to matter, right? Because in a month, you start to go, okay, now we're getting into fall camp. And as we get into fall camp, starter's going to get the reps with the one team. And if you got a returning starter, maybe at first you give them 60-something% of the reps. And then that grows as you get ready for your first game. And then you got to get a backup ready to go. You got to get a starter and a backup ready to go. because we know how much backups play these days. It seems like they play every year, right?
Yeah.
So right now it doesn't matter, but in a few weeks it's going to matter big time.
So we'll keep tabs on that. We'll try and keep you posted as best we can. The Mackeys are late checking in. Their words.
McKay's, you mean the McKays? Scott.
They were out picking strawberries.
That's okay. Again, evidently on iHeart and like wherever else you get your podcasts, or you can just go to YouTube tomorrow and get a subscription and
the Mackeys. So it's Mackey. There are McKays and there are Mackeys, but I know Mackeys, and these Mackeys were out picking strawberries.
Oh, that's the Mackeys.
So we'd love for you to send us some strawberries. From Montana, I think it is.
Yeah. Send us some.
Get some of that. Here's our Cougar Board question of the week. And if you're not familiar with Cougar Board, it's the largest online community, we'll call it, of BYU fans, thousands of posts every day. They've got plenty of opinions going on there of all the latest stuff. This question comes from Curdy, and she's one of their insider subscribers. What is your favorite BYU sports broadcasting moment? As you say that, Chicago checks in on the stream. A little late, but better than late than never.
That's right.
So thank you for being with us. Cubs are taking one on the chin, so we're glad you came to us for a little bit of that.
I got bored watching that.
Your favorite BYU sports moment?
Broadcasting moment, huh?
Yeah.
Everybody knows my playing moment, but let's think about sportscasting moment. Man, there's two. I'm going to mention two. Okay. Can I do two, Dave?
Yeah, you can do two.
I called the Miami game in the stadium with Jay Monson, and that was like an electricity that I've never felt before or since in that stadium that night. And to watch Ty Detmer and that team take down probably the best team that BYU's ever beaten, if you think about it, that was a really, really special broadcasting moment. And then, remember, I was on the NBC/Versus/Mountain Package Jimmer's amazing year when Kawhi was at San Diego State and Jimmer was, and I might, if I had to pick out, and it was, San Diego State games were great, the tournament was great, but probably my favorite game I called was BYU at Utah when Jimmer went for 33 in the first half and made a half-court shot to end the first half. He was just out of his mind and just silenced the crowd. It was like nobody was there, even though there were a bunch of people there. That would maybe be my favorite basketball game that I've called, was the BYU-Utah game up there.
I think, and this was a hard one, I think my favorite BYU sports broadcasting moment was 2013. BYU's playing Texas at the stadium. Big storm comes in, blows our pregame show off.
I forgot about that.
The set. So you and I are up in the booth, and we just sit down, and we were on the air for 2 hours. Jimmer came in. The head of the stadium drainage system came in. Kevin Eubank joined us from Salt Lake with the weather, and we really sat there and rode the storm out live on BYU TV. And then we called the game, and Taysom ran for 259 yards and 3 touchdowns. BYU beat Texas. They were nationally ranked. The next poll came out. BYU was nationally ranked. Texas was out. That was one of the longest nights that we have been on the air. And it was just so nuts.
It was crazy.
And it was cool to be a part of. And when we left, we were exhausted. I think we'd been on the air for 7 hours or something like that. And BYU had just beaten Texas senseless.
Yeah.
That was one of the craziest nights. There have been a lot, but I think that
was a fun one. I completely forgot about that. That was wild. And when we were done, we just took a deep breath and we just said, wow, that was something that we just survived that.
And Alema was bugged because his Italian suit got wrecked in that
That's
rain.
right.
Thanks for that question.
That's a great question. Idaho Coug fan says, is Jake still focused on football as if he could be playing? Yes, he is.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, we know that. We've witnessed that. So, yeah, he's out there working hard. So, and Idaho Coug says he was 10 years old when BYU beat Miami. So that makes me feel bad because I actually broadcast that game.
Thanks, Idaho Coug fan.
Although if you go back and watch it, I look like and sound like a 10-year-old. That was a long time ago.
Here's some campus notes, and let's talk about BYU's running dominance. Now that the dust has settled from the track season, the United States Track and Field Cross Country Association overall rankings of everything.
So it takes fall into account, the fall season with cross country, the winter indoor track and field season, and the spring outdoor track and field season combined.
So the overall rankings, the BYU men are number 3 in the country, and the BYU women are number 4.
How good is that?
That's a pretty good year.
Yeah, that's a great year.
And then let's break it down for you. Let's go with the outdoor track and field final rankings, and those are the most recent.
Yeah, BYU finished number 6, and BYU men finished number 11. James Corrigan took a national championship in the steeplechase to help him get to that number. So number 6 for the women, number 11 for the men.
And the men made quite a jump.
Yeah.
Indoor track and field, those final rankings of BYU women, number 4. The distance medley relay national champs, Jenna Hutchins, Sammy Oblad, Tessa Buswell, and Riley Chamberlain. And the BYU men finished 21st.
Yep, that's right. So,
and then there's...
Oh, yeah, let's just talk about cross country. How about 1-1?
1-1.
Both teams won the national championship in cross country.
And they're both going to be expected to
win it again. Yep.
Jane Hedegren's going to help him.
Yeah.
The incoming BYU freshman broke her own national high school record over the weekend at the Nike Outdoor Nationals. She ran the 3,000 meters in 8:40.03. She's going to run for Diljit Taylor and the defending national champs this fall. Just lives up the road here.
She's incredible.
She is everything and anything that AJ Dabansa is in basketball.
She is in track.
She is in track.
Absolutely. She is the AJ Dabansa of women's track right now.
Yeah. Just stunning. And she's going to be one of the youngest runners on this team as BYU goes to repeat.
And remember, she's going to do nothing but get better. She's already an elite level runner. She's going to do nothing but get better.
We're going to get her on this show too and ask
fun.
her about all that stuff.
Okay, something to watch here.
This could get interesting.
Yeah. So Wisconsin filed a lawsuit last week against Miami of Florida, not Miami of Ohio, for allegedly tampering, and eventually poaching a football player under contract. So when did we ever say a football player under contract, right?
Yeah.
So under contract, NIL contract. There have been a lot of accusations of this going around, but no formal lawsuits. We hear Utes and, accusing Cougs and Cougs
right.
like all the time. We're hearing it all over the place, right? But no lawsuits until now. So we'll see where this goes.
Where this goes, no one knows.
Yeah. And what is this going to mean for the future? Is this a precedent? You come and you go outside of the boundaries and you poach somebody and they're under contract and you take them and they break their contract and come to you. Can you get sued?
And the Big Ten, the conference is like, yeah, we're behind Wisconsin.
Yeah.
This is going to be really, really interesting. Interesting that it involves Miami of Florida.
Yeah.
That shouldn't be the shock.
But Wisconsin, who's Big Ten and backed by the Big Ten, filing the suit, this is going to be interesting. Let's hold tight. We'll see what happens with this.
In the coolness category, listen to this.
Yeah.
Brian Rolap is the new CEO of the PGA Tour. Graduated from BYU in 1996, played on the lacrosse club team, worked in the NFL front office the last 22 years, especially with NFL media and the formulation of NFL Network, a member of BYU's National Advisor Council of the Marriott School of Business. This past week named the new CEO of the PGA Tour. Now, there's 2 tours, right? There's the PGA and there's LIV.
Golf, right.
So who's running LIV?
Scott O'Neill, who also... has ties. He's a convert to the church of Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, of course. He met Brian while both earned their MBAs at Harvard, so both Harvard MBAs. Scott's also a member of BYU's National Advisory Council of the Marriott School of Business.
So
the 2 global golf tours are
basically BYU guys.
BYU guys. So
it seems like if there was ever a time for the PGA and the LIV to find common ground to get together, you got 2 guys sitting on the BYU National Advisor Council, the Marriott School of Business, to get it done.
I love it. We need to get Brian on the show.
Yeah, I put out a text to both those guys.
We'll try to get them both on.
But those guys are they're getting stuff done.
That's pretty
for
cool.
BYU and now for golf.
So fun. So BYU education system. We had Clark Gilbert on, and talk about NIL and all things that the church's view on sports and athletics at BYU,
which you can watch anytime at wiseguys.com.
If you haven't seen Elder Clark Gilbert's time here on Wise Guys with us, you've got to go check it out. It's very informative about the church's stance on all of this stuff. So here you go. Elder Clark Gilbert, Commissioner of Church Education, says since 2000, enrollment at the network of BYU schools has grown by almost 100,000 students. So now that includes BYU Provo, BYU Idaho, BYU Hawaii, Ensign College, and BYU Pathway program.
Think about it. In 2000, they already had tons of students.
Yeah.
And now that enrollment is now
it's gone from
up here. It's right here.
50,000 approximately in the year 2000 to 147,000 students currently. So, enter to learn, go forth to serve, right?
Yeah, that's great.
Amazing.
That's great. And it's interesting when they did away with sports at Rick's College, made it BYU Idaho, they tripled enrollment.
Right.
And gave a BYU experience to more students. Now, people down here were like, oh, no, they're going to do this next. And as Elder Gilbert said,
no, that's not the plan.
going to be the plan.
That's not the plan.
So that's cool. All right. We ready to roll out of here?
Yeah, let's go on
We've
this
had
day.
an awesome show. On this day, June 23rd, there's a lot going on.
Yeah, let's start in 1775 because we like to go back to the 1700s. The first regatta is held on the River Thames in England.
Do you think they had wagering on that?
I'm going to check out the River Thames in a couple weeks because I'm going to be over in England.
Yeah. See if they're still regattaing.
See if they're doing that.
Over there. 1784 on this day, the first U.S. balloon flight, flown by 13-year-old Edward Warren. We don't know if he did that flight on purpose, but it went down as the first.
You're saying he might have been like the Wizard of Oz guy, like the Great Wizard of Oz who floated out of a carnival?
A teenager out back in a hot air balloon. Next thing you know, he's floating. So first balloon flight in this country.
How do you like Jet Thompson's suggestion here? He says, let's have the spouses of BYU's coaches. What is it? You can read that better than me, Dave, because it's at the very bottom.
Coach Sitake, Coach Kevin Young's wife.
Come on.
Let's see, on the Wise Guys, Diljit Taylor on the Wise Guys. Love to hear their perspective. That'd be great. That's a great idea.
That is a good idea. Yeah. Like when we've had spouses of our athletes, like when we had our kicker and punter both on and their spouses on, it was really fun to get their perspective.
We get the truth.
Yeah. So Sam's wife and Will's wife came on, and we talked about, if you haven't seen this one, you got to go back and see it, because the spouses talked about the big kick in the Utah game. And Will told us how he felt. Sam told us how and then the spouses told us the stress that they felt when their husbands out on the field had to execute that game-winning kick.
Yeah, got
to go listen to that. But I like this idea, Jet. That's a good idea, Jet. So
on this day in 1868,
Christopher Lathan Scholes patented the typewriter.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the world's never been the same.
Changed my life.
Yeah, it did mine too.
1927, Lou Gehrig, Yankee star, hit 3 home runs to beat the Red Sox 11-4 at Fenway. Right in their face.
Yeah. 1961, we always have to have something with the Cubs.
Because they're so part of our culture.
So the Cubs star, Ernie Banks, he ends his 717 consecutive games played streak.
Wait, took the day off?
Yeah, took a day off. Wow.
1979, Charlie Daniels Band releases The Devil Went Down to Georgia. And then Garth Brooks did a cover on that, which is awesome.
He was in a bind. He was way behind. He was willing to make a deal.
He made a deal.
He did make a deal. 1980, David Letterman's show debuts on NBC Daytime.
I remember that. It's like, what? Who has a talk show in the middle of the day?
I don't remember that.
And then later he went tonight.
He went tonight. So,
1982 on this day, the all-time low temperature at the South Pole, minus 117 Fahrenheit.
That's nuts.
It's a cold day.
So, 1989, Batman premieres in U.S. theaters. Michael Keaton and Jack Nicholson.
I remember that. movie
Michael
came
Keaton
out.
as Batman, Jack Nicholson as Joker.
When that came out, it was
original.
like, oh, we got to see this.
It was so good.
On this day in 2011, the Cavaliers take Duke's Kyrie Irving as the number 1 pick in the NBA draft.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
Speaking of, are you going to go see that new Formula One movie?
Maybe, but I am seeing the new Superman.
You're going to go see the new
For
Superman?
sure. July 11th.
Wait, have you seen the new How to Train Your Dragon live action?
No.
Gosh,
I didn't see the other ones either. But I saw the new Mission Impossible. That was good.
It was a good. I need to see that.
Yeah,
but
you should see
the
that.
reason I thought about the Formula One, I was just in New York this week, back to see Libby, and they had a whole bunch of the area closed down because Brad Pitt, and they were doing a big promotion for F1.
yeah.
I'm like, maybe we need to go see that.
It looks like it's probably pretty good.
Probably good. Okay.
Hey, Jeff is in from Tuscaloosa, Alabama.
Man, that's like Alabama country right there.
And Greg's in late. Sorry. Great show from SoCal. Good to have you with us.
So, Jeff also wants President Reese's wife on. We need to get President Reese on and President Young together. Finally, that needs
We're
to
still
come
efforting that. They haven't.
They were all set.
And then Utah's athletic director lost his mind, and that kind of
threw things a wrench in it. So let's talk about birthdays on June 23rd. How about that? 1925, Art Modell, the NFL owner who moved the Browns from Cleveland to Baltimore, where they became the Ravens.
As a result, Kyle Van Noy plays in Baltimore.
That's right. So,
All right. 1939, Charlie Spoonhour. We called some of his games.
Spoon.
At UNLV as the basketball coach.
He was always fun to talk to. He was great to work with. 1948, on June 23rd, Justice Clarence Thomas of the U.S. Supreme Court was born.
1970, Robert Brooks was born. He holds the record for the longest pass reception in NFL history, 99 yards, in the 1996 Super Bowl with the Packers.
Wow.
He was born on this day.
That's a big one. How about June 23rd deaths? Let's start in 1969. Chuck Taylor passed.
Chuck Taylor.
Yeah.
You might not know him, but you know his shoes.
The All-Star Converse are Chuck Taylor's.
2006, Aaron Spelling, TV producer, Charlie's Angels, Dynasty, Beverly Hills 90210.
A lot of big stuff. His house is on the LA Country Club. And it is giant.
Yeah, it has to
It's
be.
not his anymore, but it's a giant house there. So, 2009, Ed McMahon, Tonight Show star, Search and Publishers Clearinghouse. He's a co-host with Johnny Carson on the Tonight Show for all those years. 2009.
And how many times did you see him come on TV saying, "You may have just won $1 million
exactly.
in the new
Publishers
public
Clearinghouse.
Our Wise Guys inspirational quote of the week is from President Ronald Reagan, who said,
He says, Thomas Jefferson once said, "We should never judge a president by his age, only by his works." And ever since he told me that, I stopped worrying.
President Reagan was the best, and he's so funny.
Oh, he would, like, in debates, he would just disarm the people. Like, he was just so nice and so clever and so good.
Remember, he was a Democrat, and then he said, "Hey, Democrats changed," and he became a Republican and was the governor
He said,
of California.
I didn't change. The party I was in changed. And so
then President of the United States.
we could use a little Ronald Reagan these days,
Yeah,
I think.
that's a great quote.
Kinder, gentler time. So
Special thanks to Jim Evans and Travis Brady. They were both outstanding interviews. By the way, our ticket giveaway is underway right now. I just checked our social media sites to see Rascal Flatts at Stadium of Fire. We have 2 sets of 2 tickets to give away. Tell them how they can win it.
yeah, so you're going to go to our social media pages on Facebook, Instagram, and X to enter. And you can get bonus entries by entering all 3 platforms. The winner's going to be announced tomorrow night at 7 o'clock Mountain Time. So it's your chance to see Rascal Flatts. I'm pumped about it. Dave's pumped about it. Jim Evans was on. He's pumped about it. We're all pumped about it. LaBelle Over Stadium on July 4th. From your friends at Wise Guys and America's Freedom Festival at Provo, we're giving you these tickets. 2 sets. So get on there.
So I just got a note from the producers of Stadium of Fire, and we're going over our game plan. And then they sent me a second note, and they said, "Hey, barring some unforeseen circumstance, you get to introduce Rascal Flatts." It's because sometimes they have their own introductions.
Yeah.
Jonas Brothers had their own thing.
Yeah.
So I've had a chance to introduce Journey and Keith Urban, and
So
soon to be
you're going to
Rascal
do me a solid.
Flatts.
And so in the introduction, you say, the very last thing you say is, and Blaine Fowler's a huge fan.
That's
Rascal
exactly
Flatts.
what I'm going to say.
I think you probably do
That's
that.
exactly how I'm going to do
I
it.
could use a little extra pub.
So it's going to be awesome. It's just the greatest 2-week period of the year here in Provo.
Yeah.
And so it was great to have Jim Evans on with us to set the tone. And we want you to win some tickets to
Yes.
join us all
Get on
at
there.
Stadium
Yep,
of
do
Fire. Next week, BYU grads Jared Price and John By the Way are going to be with us. By the Way was with us before, and he said, "What could I possibly provide again?" And it was a year ago, and we're just like, we're just getting started with you.
Yeah.
We got a lot of
We're
questions.
going way deeper than we
We
went
have
last
a
time.
lot of unanswered questions.
And the last time we came, he and I played catch in the driveway, so we might play a little
Yeah,
catch.
he wants to throw the baseball this time.
Oh, look, I'll bring
So
my.
we'll
You
do
bring your
that.
mitt. Bring my mitt.
And Jared Price, by the way, a BYU grad, and he's got a Kreshimer-Chosich connection that'll have you scratching your head.
Fun stuff.
So we're looking forward to that. Where you can find us this week, I'm in the Deseret News.
Yeah, I'm in. This is the first time I've been in town for a whole week in a long, long time. So
So you'll be driving around Provo.
I'll be around Provo. You might find me.
Stop, and if you see him at a red light,
You
just
might find
honk.
Dave and I playing golf on Friday.
Yeah, you could find us there with a very fun group.
Yeah, we'll tell you till next week who we played with.
Yeah,
We
we'll
play
do
with
that.
fun guys on Friday. We have a fun group this Friday. We're just going to say there's some athletes we're going to play with Friday, and we'll let you know next week.
Yeah, some very interesting ones.
Yeah.
So we're looking forward to that. And the weather's, it's a great week. It's like a high of 70-something today.
Yeah.
Here, but then it's going to
It's going to warm up at the end of the week. So
it's that time of year where it's going to be hot.
Yep.
But you know what? We're also nearing the time of year when people can shoot off fireworks.
Yeah.
And then there's the sounds, and then there's the smell of gunpowder in the air, which I love, as you
love
know.
the 4th of July.
And,
I do too. So.
And one other thing Jim Evans said, remember, helicopters instead of jets this year for Stadium of Fire. So the Air Force is preoccupied with some things, but the helicopters can come in, and they can come in low.
That's for sure. So.
I want to be able to see the eyes of the pilots.
You'd be able to.
Coming in low.
Hey, let's not forget Wise Guys is presented by BradyPlus, supplies plus support by Eddie, HR and payroll software built for small businesses. See how Eddie can serve your team at Eddie.com. And by Mountain America Credit Union. Apply for your BYU credit card featuring a $100 bonus at any Mountain American branch or macu.com/BYU Visa.
Listen, that deal is good through the end of the month.
Yeah.
Today's the 23rd. Next week's show, we'll wrap up the month. It's
go.
$300 sitting right there.
Let's go get it. And a fun card. With
And
BYU.
we love them because they love us.
They're
and
great.
as you see them right over here over the shoulder. These are the groups that
keep us
they're
rolling.
the backbone of Wise Guys, and also distributed by the Deseret News. So thank you, everybody on the stream. Thank you for listening on the podcast. YouTube, Facebook, Twitch. Please go to YouTube and like our page. Subscribe. It's free. You'll get our weekly email. We'll continue to grow. We just went past 6,000 on YouTube just like that.
Yep.
Came charging. Now we're going towards 7,000. And help us build this thing. And we're just going to do this till we till we die.
Can't do it.
I guess till we die.
Till we can't do it.
Yeah.
So
all right.
we'll see you next week.